For all the talk about how the Republican Party wants to drain the swamp and root out the corruption in our government, which I actually agree with. I think we should. But apparently, they don't seem to actually want to do that, or even make the appearance of trying to do that. On Thursday, Senate Republicans had filibustered the Disclose Act. Now, the Disclose Act basically is to try to, expose incredibly wealthy donors. By the way, not just on the Republican side, but on the Democratic side as well. All wealthy donors who want to spend unlimited amounts of dark money that you can't tell where it comes from or where it's going, to ensure that the U.S. remains essentially under corporate rule with no transparency. Among other things, the Disclose Act would require organizations spending money in elections, including super PACs and 501c4 dark money groups, to promptly disclose donors who give $10,000 or more during an election cycle. So we're talking about big donors, not somebody giving $100 or $200 or even $1,000, right? No, we're talking about incredibly wealthy donors. You're the top 1%, the top 5%. Corporations, CEOs, executives, the ones who are buying up politicians. Now, in addition to election disclosure requirements, the bill also required that groups spend money on ads supporting or opposing judicial nominees to disclose their donors as well. So, look, all this is about is just transparency. We want to know who's buying our politicians so that we know, so we can follow the money and see like, oh, okay, AT&T gave, $10,000 to said candidate, super PAC, right, to run ads on their behalf. Oh, and look, that same politician just happened to support a merger for AT&T or a tax break for telecommunications companies. That's all it would do. So we wouldn't actually do anything about the corruption, but at least we would know there is corruption there. At least we could see it. But Republicans, they decided, no, we don't even want you to see it at all. At all. Now, one of the authors of this legislation is Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. He said in a Wednesday floor speech, the bill's goal was to prevent corporations and billionaires from using dark money loopholes to, quote, spew bile and slime into the nation's political system. Bile and slime. I like that saying because, look, it is pretty slimy. But these politicians, again, they do live in the swamp. They roll in that slime every day. They love it when billionaires give their campaigns millions of dollars. They love it. And they serve their corporate masters. Well, they serve them very, very well. 49 of the GOP colleagues in attendance on that day voted to prevent debate on legislation because, of course, it was put forward by Democrats. Today, Senate Republicans stood in lockstep with their megadonors and secretive special interests to protect the most corrupting force in American politics, dark money, said Whitehouse. The American people are fed up with dark money influence and campaigns that rig their government against them and stymie their priorities. And once again, Senate Republicans sided with special interests and dark money. I'm sorry, this is Senator Patty Murray saying this. Once again, Senate Republicans sided with special interests and dark money and against honest and transparent political debate. Instead of voting for the Disclose Act and cracking down on the dark money in our democracy, Republicans blocked it. Shameful. So now, here's the thing about the Disclose Act. It's not even that strong. I keep mentioning that. What we really need to do is to end the donations. All of it. All of it. Yes, yes, it is important to find out who's funding it. Sure. And what's interesting is, again, there are people out there that do not want you to know who is funding these politicians. Well, why not? Well, it turns out there's a reason. Maybe these companies and these executives are too embarrassed to be publicly seen supporting people that are perhaps insurrectionists, or, racists, misogynists, science deniers, transphobes. Look, remember, you had a lot of big businesses that were publicly saying how appalled they were at what happened on January 6th, right? The idea that somebody could sit there or party could sit there and lie consistently about voter fraud, mass voter fraud that didn't actually happen in order to try to take power. And look, those same companies who were so aghast, they decided to go back immediately to funding the very people in Congress who enabled that to happen, who voted against to certify the election. So, or let's not forget the better example, rainbow capitalism, right? Or rainbow capitalism. Well, let's not forget about the best example here. And that is, of course, people saying, we stand with the LGBTQ community on Pride Month, right? Or the same companies that say we stand with women after the end of Roe. We support women. But those same companies will then turn around to support politicians, give them donations, money that are, these politicians are anti-gay and want to strip women of reproductive rights. That's what they're doing. And it's not, by the way, it's not because these companies are evil. Companies are amoral. They don't actually have personalities or political beliefs. No, what it is that they have to make as much money as possible for their shareholders. If they don't, then the board will vote out the CEO and replace him with someone who will try to make as much short-term profit as possible. That's the whole point of a corporation, is to make profit for their shareholders. That's it. And so that's why publicly they'll say, oh no, we're with women, we're with LGBTQ plus people, because by the way, that's where the country is socially, on those sides of those causes, right? But we'll privately say, no, we're going to give money to Republicans because guess what? Republicans, they cut our taxes and they deregulate us so we can make more money. That's it. So again, it's all about the money. And Republicans have demonstrated once again that they love the fact that the elites can buy them in secret. Yes, sir. Anything for you, sir. I am your bitch, your little lapdog. Please give me more campaign money, and I will do anything you say. If you want me to crush the working class, crush the working class. Oh, do you want me to kill childcare and paid leave? Absolutely, sir. I will do that 100%. I will grind working people into the dirt. But just give me that money. Just give me that money. To show you how much money is there. In 2020, the amount of dark money, again, this is unaccountable. We don't know where it's coming from. In the 2020 election, there was $1.2 billion. And that's just what we know of. That doesn't include all the other political spending. Just dark money. Now, that said, I've been kicking the crap out of Republicans this entire segment, right? But let's be honest, Democrats, corporate Democrats, share some of the blame as well. As the Lever points out, holding a vote on the Disclose Act without pushing to end the filibuster highlights the fundamental flaw with Democrats in Washington. Their rhetoric and warnings about dark money have always been spot on, but they have failed to take the actions necessary to stop the flow of secret cash distorting and corrupting American politics. Meanwhile, the party has become increasingly reliant on these same dark pools of cash to help elect more Democratic lawmakers. So understand, money in politics affects all parties, both parties. And yes, unfortunately, they end up being beholden to those donors. So this particular vote, it was already set up to fail. Going back to how weak this was in the first place and how it actually wouldn't end the corruption. But again, not enough. Two, Democratic senators, Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, said, I will not end the filibuster. So we're not going to get this passed. We're not going to get voting rights passed. We're not going to get labor rights passed. We're not going to get any of that stuff passed. We are just going to make it so that Republicans can block us and we don't have to actually do anything. And again, we can, of course, always count on Republicans not to vote for these things. And we can apparently also seem to count on Democratic leadership not wanting to get rid of the filibuster so they can actually pass these things. And so as a result, it's a win-win for them, specifically Democrats. They get to blame Republicans, and they also get to do political theater, and they also get to keep the monies. And it's also a win for Republicans, because Republicans also get to keep the monies. They don't have to say actually do anything to fight the corruption. All they have to do is just tell their followers, oh no, we're fighting the Washington swamp, and then try to ban transgender girls from sports. What happened to fighting corruption? It's not in the bathrooms. No, it's right in Congress. It's you guys. You're the corruption. No, again, this is a really good example here of how our political system is rigged against us.